Well, hello, I'm Don Lubach, Associate Ombuds, and I'm here with my friend and colleague and fellow longtime member of the campus, Dr. Brian Frazier. Hi, Brian.
Hi, how are you?
Not too bad. You have multiple identities, and I introduced you in a kind of fancy way when you visited for live at lunch the other day. But I just want to share a couple of fun things about you because folks watching this video did not hear my 20-minute introduction or my lengthy introduction. One of my favorite things about you, as well as packing a PhD from UCSB and an undergrad degree from Berkeley, is that you have taught at every level of the California plan for higher education, including the community colleges, a state university, the UCSB. I also saw you teach at UCSB. You helped out with the big student affairs led course for transfer students. And I even dug into the student feedback for you, and I just love this comment. One of your students said that Dr. Frazier can be serious and funny at the same time. That's it's almost like Tuvan throat singing or something, that you can sing in two octaves simultaneously. I think that's wonderful. So that's all the introduction they get for you at this time. You presently, your fancy title is wait, I'm digging for it. I'm just going to make you say it. What is your current title on campus?
My current title is Director of Student Information Services.
Excellent. Wow.
In ITS.
Lots of change in IT, tons of change on campus, incredible changes. In fact, the day we're recording this, the campus is closed for a storm. I've never seen anything like this. You've never seen anything like this. And this talk you gave rose out of us talking about, my gosh, there's so much change. How are we doing? Who's studying for this? And the kind of person you are is a person who's like, okay, where's a manual for this? How do I train up and become exercise my leadership background in times of uncertainty? So you shared some wonderful slides with the group about some of your thoughts on leadership and change. And so what do you remember from the other day, or is it just blackout since you're not normally a public speaker with colleagues at the university?
So what I remember from the other day was first asking a lot of questions. So we talked a little bit about what are the different definitions that people have come up with of leadership, or what a leader is. From the basic ones, very, very, very basic, the eminence of, a leader is someone who has a follower. Mm-hmm. So that's the simplest definition. There were also basic ones like from Oxford, the idea that leadership is basically the same concept. Leadership is someone that has followers. In other words, that you are in charge of a group of people, mm-hmm. or in charge of directing an activity. Right? So you lead other people to do things. We also talked a little bit about, on our campus, who might those leaders be, or who are leaders, from campus executives to department chairs or department directors, staff, faculty, and then I posed the question of perhaps everybody, including students, could or are leaders on our campus.
Right. Yeah, that was really that was kind of the surprise. You looked at all these different definitions of leadership, and the landing point was perhaps all of us have leadership responsibilities that we can either shirk or jump into, and you've chosen to dive in. And you came up with this idea to and the Ombuds office wants to help you with this, is gather people to read about change leadership, maybe watch current video trainings and get the people in the group to choose different things to face this together. And did you get traction? It seemed like people were really.
I got about 15 people signed up for provided emails. So I will be sending out later this week an email to them suggesting that at least we come up with a first meeting to maybe discuss what are the interests that people have, specific areas of interest, and try to come up at least with one specific topic that we could start out with, and then either have someone volunteer some type of material or so forth, or I'm very happy to provide an initial material, whether it's a TED Talk, a video, a book, an article, a chapter of a book, The other thing that came up that I thought was really interesting in the discussion was there were questions about specifically about, how to deal with changing leadership within a department when they're in the academic departments, and the department chair could possibly change every 3 years.
Right.
And so one of the things that I thought about is, why not for this group try to find others on campus that are in leadership roles or have worked in leadership or have ideas about it, to maybe come and talk to the group. So try to solicit people from campus to come in, from, whether they're, faculty or administrators or other staff members, to maybe have them come in and either do a presentation or, Q&A or something of some sort.
Yeah. And we're seeing that from our view from the Ombuds office. Chairs are now gathering together and helping each other in the first months of taking on a chair position. We didn't see that before, but with the need for everyone to kind of step up their leadership, we're getting smarter, I think, on some of these things and looking at possibilities.
So that conversation spurred me to start thinking about that topic in particular, and how, having been at UCSB in an academic department and seeing what that was like, and knowing the difficulties, having been married to a professor on campus and seeing what that professor went through with changing, the faculty dealing with that changing leadership as well, formal and informal leadership within the department. Right. I was thinking about the fact that I don't believe that, maybe there's the thing called the Red Book, for faculty and so forth. But I was thinking, why wouldn't a department or a department area or even a college try to generate kind of like a department chair, field guide to how to deal with all the administrative aspects that you now have to deal with, and try to understand those a little better, so that when, a staff member says X, this is why they're saying that, or, when you want to get this done, these are how much effort it takes to do it and who has to be involved, so that at least they understand before getting into that role, like, okay, I'm gonna have to deal with staff, I'm gonna have to do all these things, how do I lead and how do I manage?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so good. Hey, the clock's beating us here, but I just wanted to say that what happened the other day at Live at Lunch was folks got excited. We threw everybody into brief Zoom groups, and folks came up with different projects that they were kind of interested in, and exactly what I'd hoped would happen. Folks were kind of activated around the idea of change, and not just letting it happen to us, but figuring out ways to get around it. I bet today across the campus, as we're closed, all kinds of faculty members are delivering Zoom lectures, and they're not freaking out because they did it before, they learned it. And so we get a little bit better with each curveball that's thrown at us. So and having the fact that you came out from behind your computer, your bank of computer monitors and whiteboards and Gantt charts and all the things you use to take a risk and put yourself out in front of faculty, staff, was really appreciated. And I think that this reading group, I used to call it Brian's Change Book Club, but you've corrected me on that. It's not necessarily a book. It's not necessarily just about change. It's about leadership in times of change. Right. And you're so generous in gathering folks and doing this, your own form of leadership, definitely.
Yes. So I want to, close by just, reiterating that the group that Dawn has been talking about, it's not about me leading the group per se. It's about this group learning to work together and to discover how can we lead differently, or how can we lead not only others but ourselves when we're dealing with change. That's one of the major topics I see, and I just want to invite any and all that are interested to participate. You're not going to agree with everything. I'm not going to agree with everything, but you take away from it what you find valuable, and try to develop yourself more in these areas.
I always have a huge stack of chronicles of higher education, and I love when I can dive in. But joining a group like this will give us all an excuse to actually read some of those really exciting articles. So that's you'll get people taking up using these resources that are all around us. We're deep with resources. We just have to make the time to dive into some of them and then discuss with others. Will make it much more interesting. And you might meet new people, which is important as well.
Most definitely, make new connections on campus. I mean, there were a lot of people from academic departments that I had never even heard of, let alone seen at the Live at Lunch.
Right.
So.
As the Zoom call populated, I was having fun teasing.
Yes.
Brian, we've got another professor. You better do well. It was great. All right. Well, music's going to come in right now, and we're going to play you out. But thank you very much.